Hi everybody. I was really excited to have a go at making a spaghetti paintbrush like the one Miss Syker posted on Playgroup today. And so I went to the cupboard and I'd run out of paint. Oh no! Well, I'm not going to the shops now. I've got to do exercise live at 11:45 later on today. I've got song and story a bit later on. So I'm going to have to make my own paint. I'm going to give this a go. I'm starting with some flour. Have you got flour in your house? Some salt. I don't put this much on my chips, that's a little bit too salty. And some water. Now I might need more water than this. If I do, I can go and get some, that's all right. I've also got some food colouring. Flour, salt, water, food colouring. A spoon, an extra cup, and of course a plate for mixing paint. Now you might not have a really nice paint mixing plate like this, but any plate, any bowl, any box would be fine. Now my paint starts off with some flour and some salt mixed together. I'm going to mix them straight in to my plate here. So I'm going to do one big spoon of flour. Goes in the cup first, and I want the same amount of flour and salt so I can see the flour. I could get my pen and mark on. That's how much flour I put in. I'm going to put that in my dish. Ooh, it's going to get messy very quickly. I might need a bit more flour later if my paint's a bit runny. Then the same amount of salt. But I've got my line still on my cup, so I can put the same amount of salt in. Feels like quite a lot of salt. Give it a bit of a tap. The Mombasa tap. All that salt stuck together. There we go. And the salt goes in too. And I'm going to use my spoon to mix those things around. I'm going to go in the other sections as well, get nice and messy this morning. I've got my apron on because I'm using that food colouring again, and that food colouring might make a bit of a mess of my clothes. Made a mess of the table. And Miss Barnes is going to ask me to clean up. That's fine. I did a good job of cleaning up after I made some messy rice yesterday, so I'm allowed to do more activities today. Very important we clean up after our messy activities. Okay. Here we go. That's all mixed together. My flour and my salt. Now I'm going to add in my water. I'm going to do this little by little, just in case it gets too runny. Oh yeah, it's nice and thick straight away. Blah! Now I'm mixing it with a spoon. It's flour and water, so it does make a real mess, but you can get in there and mix it with your fingers because it feels all sludgy and funny. Keep mixing it.
Oh, this looks like
I know. I'm making homemade paint.
Very good.
And all you need to do is mix flour and salt and water together really well. I might need a bigger thing though. I think this plate's going to be a bit too small.
Would you like a Tupperware?
I'd love a Tupperware. It's always handy to have a glamorous assistant. Bit more water. Yeah, now we're talking. Now, at the moment, it doesn't look much like paint because it's this gloopy beige colour. It's not quite white. It's not quite yellow. There we go. Right.
Got you some paper as well for later.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. I'm going to make a mess now.
Ooh.
Put it all in. This way I can mix it together really well. So I use all of the flour and all of the salt. In it goes. Excellent. I might have to change my t-shirt before we do our song and story. Right, here we go. Mixy mix. Get it all nicely mixed together. Now, if you're a professional, you'll probably sieve the flour before you mix it with the salt. Otherwise, your paint...
I did sieve this flour.
You sieved all of that flour?
Yeah, but when we had pizzas.
Oh, then I've got some unexplained lumps in here.
Well, it did go back into the bag.
Okay, it's looking okay though.
Hmm.
I'm going to add in my food colouring, and probably it's a bit runny.
Well, that's okay, because when you're painting, you need to remember to tap, tap, tap anyway, before you take it to the paper.
Okay. Yesterday I used pink, today I'm using red. And I did learn a lesson yesterday. When it says a couple of drops, it does mean a couple of drops.
Red.
I'm going to mix that together and watch my paint change colour. Yeah, look at that.
That is lovely.
It is looking good, isn't it? Now, if it's too thin, if it's too watery, if it's too runny, you can add a bit more water. If it's not, if it's too runny, you can add a bit more flour. And if it's too thick and you can't get your paint to spread, you can add a little bit more water. What do you think, Miss Barnes? It has turned a lovely pink colour.
Why don't you test it?
I could test it, but I haven't made my spaghetti paintbrush yet. So I tell you what, now that I've made paint and dropped the spoon right in the middle of the paint, I'm going to have to get my hands all messy.
Well, you could test it with your fingers for now.
I could test it with my fingers. Let's do a finger painting just to see. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Yeah, maybe you do want it a little bit.
A little bit thicker, so I need more.
Would you like a sieve?
More flour. No, I'm okay, thank you. Could you get me another spoon though? Yeah, because mine's really it's quite thick at the bottom, so giving it a good mix would be a really good idea. Oh, get it all off the bottom. Yeah. Look. Still need a little bit more flour. Look at my messy hands. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There we go. Just a bit to start with, a little sprinkle. And then give it a mix. I want to get rid of all those white bits of the flour. Get them all mixed together with our lovely pink paint. I wonder what other colour I should do for my painting today. Mix, mix, mix. Yeah, that's looking a bit better. And I think one more tiny spoon of flour just to thicken it up a tiny bit more so we're ready to paint. Mix, 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 mix. If you've got a sandwich bag, you can make it in your sandwich bag and give it a really good shake. And the great thing about the sandwich bag is you can squeeze it as well, and it feels, especially if it's a Ziploc one, it feels all squidgy and nice on the outside of the bag as well. It's really good for your hands to get them moving in the mornings. I'm going to test this again with my fingers. Tap, tap, tap. One big mix. Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. That's looking really good. It's like slime. And then, boop, 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 boop. Yeah, that looks... Wow, I can drip it on the paper as well. If I hold my paper up, all those drips are going to run down. Yeah, look at that. Right, I've made a real mess. So before I make my spaghetti paintbrush, I'm going to put my paint somewhere safe. I'm going to clean my table, and I'm going to make my spaghetti paintbrush. Maybe you could have a go at making your own paint today and your own spaghetti paintbrush. I'll share the link with everybody from Miss Saika's instructions, but have a go. Send us some pictures if you end up with paint and paintbrushes at your house. Bye!